taking a look at that last night, showing it to our guys of what we did, what we tried to do, how we accomplished it, where we can get better, where we can grow. And then you got to move to the next game, right? This league is unforgiving. And we talked about the effort that we played with yesterday, that you have to play the same exact way. No matter if the jersey on the other team says Indiana or Northwestern or Wisconsin or Purdue or Minnesota or whoever else it may be, you have to play with that same effort. And the effort that we played with gives you a chance to win. Then you have to have execution, and then you have to have focus in terms of how you play offensively and defensively. So we were right back to work today, and we're not celebrating one victory. We're ready to go and get another one, and we know it's going to be a tough challenge Wednesday night.
All right, we'll start with John Sauber.
Hey, Micah, how are you?
Right.
So you guys really limited Trace Jackson-Davis from an efficiency standpoint last night. How do you think, and what did you see that will allow you to do that to other opponents who have those kind of bigs that maybe are more athletic than the guys that you can put on the court?
Yeah. We talked about going into the game of it. John, Jelani, Greg, whoever was going to guard Trace Jackson-Davis, like, it's not just on them in terms of, like, they got to do all the work. They have to guard them. They have to do everything to stop them. It's got to be everybody. And they did it. They worked really hard to not let him get good positioning. But I thought our guards did a good job of pressuring the basketball and not letting their guards just look into the post, which they were trying to do, right? If you allow the defense to stand with the ball above their head and just look into the post and pick you apart, and it doesn't matter who you could have Shaq down there playing post defense. He's probably going to get scored on, right? You need help, and it was a total team effort. And John and those guys get the credit for it, but our guards did a great job of doing their part. So it was a total team effort to make it tough. And he's a good player. He got 20 points, and he did a great job in the second half of getting deeper position before we could get to him to help. But we made him work to get those points when he did catch it deep.
Nate Bauer.
Hey, Micah, you mentioned last night kind of having the opportunity to take a deep dive on like a self-scout due to the layoff. Is that something that you had planned anyway? And what went into it? I mean, do you look at the numbers? How do you kind of, what was the process there?
Yeah. Usually about every 5 games, I get kind of a synopsis of what that 5 games has looked like. And then you can compare it to the first 5 games as well. So you look at that and kind of take a look at it. I had an extended amount of time, right? Instead of the normal couple of days that would have been off, right? If we would have played VCU, then Quinnipiac, we only had about 3 days. So we would have got the numbers, how to fix some certain things, but maybe not the time to really deep dive into it. So I got a chance to go back and watch all 10 games, right? Even though I've seen them. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe there's something that we can get better. So I watched all 10 games. I went through all of the numbers. We went through, I did this because like I said, I had a lot of time. I went through and every point that the other team scored on us, I did an accountability sheet about who gave those points up and why did they score. Like if you had a bad closeout and it led to a drive and kick open 3, like you got those points. And kind of went through that whole thing and really, you get a chance to see everything. And I don't, without the amount of time, I wouldn't have been able to do that as deeply to look at that. So, it was I guess, a blessing and a curse in some ways that you don't normally in the middle of the season get to go that deep into your team. You get a chance to do some things and look at some numbers, but to do the numbers and the film and everything else, I was making projects up. I was that bored.
Ben Jones.
Hey, Micah. How's it going?
Great.
Good to hear your voice is working again. You are obviously new to the Big Ten from the standpoint of being a head coach, but you're not new of having watched film of all of these teams. Do you feel like your institutional knowledge is maybe farther along than it would have been if you weren't familiar with the Big Ten? And sort of how does that play into your ability to prepare for these games?
Yeah, it helps. It helps. Now, last year was a little different because I was preparing for the other team's defense, how we would try and score against them. But I'm at the games and I'm at practice. I'm at walkthrough, so I know exactly how we were trying to guard them and what we were trying to do defensively. And we played a little bit different at Purdue defensively than we do here, but the common theme of what we do, and then also the personnel. I can specifically talk to our guys, and the guys that were here last year know a little more about certain players, but the guys that are new and that don't, like, I can talk to them about Buyin and Chase Audige going off at the start of last year, right? Those guys were like, flamethrowers, and Northwestern was beating people, right? I saw that because I was watching those games. I was preparing for those games. If I was in a different league, I don't see that stuff. I don't know, what they're capable of. That's why, when we got into film today, I said, you got to prepare for what they're capable of. And Chase Audige might be averaging. He's been hurt. Sorry, I'm cheating. I'm looking at my stat sheet. He's averaging 11 points a game, right? But that's not what he's capable of. That's what he's doing at the moment. He can score 30, and I've seen him do it, and we've prepared for that. So being able to be in the league, recently in the league, and knowing some of the things that people like to do, some of the things that some of these players like to do, is really helpful. Still got to stop it. That's the plan. That's the key.
Spencer Ripchick.
Hey, Micah. You play Northwestern on Wednesday, but on Saturday you're taking on your former program in Purdue. How do you game plan for a team that knows you so well, and what emotions are you feeling knowing that that game is right around the corner?
It's it's a little different. Like, I haven't, I obviously know when we play them, right? I've seen that since the schedule came out. I'm like, man, January 8th, Purdue comes here. But that's, those are also my friends, right? I still talk to them. Still talk to Coach Payne. I still talk to Elliot Bloom, Brandon Brantley, Terry Johnson. And I go back a long ways. We were on staff at Butler together, rolling the Final Fours together. So that whole staff, we're all close. And, Grady Eifert is a part of our staff. And, PJ Thompson has played with Grady for a long time. So there's a lot of similarities in terms of what we do philosophically, right? Like, not necessarily from a execution standpoint. What we do, how we play offensively and defensively is actually pretty different. But philosophically, what we do, there's not, I'd be dumb to not take something from Coach Painter, like being around him and seeing the success that he's had. So I haven't started looking at them because obviously, Indiana was my total focus. And then last night after the game, Northwestern became my total focus. And, we're worried about beating those guys. But I think we'll have a pretty good scout on them. I worked for them for 2 years, and the last 2 years, and a lot of the stuff, I ran our offense. I still got the board that I use sitting on my floor here on my, right next to my desk. And Grady guarded in their system for 4 years, and he was a GA for 6 years. So Coach Fish has the scout, and he's like afraid to like make a mistake because he knows that like we'll correct everything that he says. So I think he'll leave that up to us. But we got beat Northwestern. That's my focus, and we'll get to Saturday when we get to Saturday.
Just Meltzer.
Good afternoon, Coach. Talking about Northwestern, I don't know how much you've been able to look at them, being that the Indiana game is still fresh, but what are some things that you've seen and know about the Wildcats that stick out to you?
You know, this group has been together. You know, Adish was new last year, but Buyin, Ryan Barron, Pete Nance, Ryan Young, like those guys have played a lot of games together. And have had success. They've also, you know, struggled at times, right? So they've been through some stuff together. So you have an older team that's been through the Big Ten wars. How they play, like they run some really good stuff. I don't say that because we actually play very similar offenses. Like it's like looking in the mirror. I texted Taylor and said something about it. I just texted him and said, hey, stay out of my playbook. And he was like, man, I know. It's like looking in the mirror when you watch our two teams play in terms of what we do and how we play. So it's really going to be the discipline and an execution game, right? It's like playing in practice. Like everybody knows what's coming. Now you got to be able to stop it. You got to be disciplined in what you do. So they create challenges. You know, our three-point defense hasn't been great. When we haven't been great guarding the three, we've usually lost. But they got a bunch of guys that can make threes. They may not be shooting them at a high level. You know, Ty Berry is, you know, obviously their best three-point shooter, but Boo Boo is capable of making shots and making tough shots. Chase Adish, same exact way. Robbie Barron and Pete Nance both stretch your bigs out a little bit because they can space the floor and make shots. So they put more pressure on you in that way. And I guess it'd be kind of similar to like, you know, Ohio State in some way, where they have, you know, they're going to play five guys on the court that can shoot. When Ohio State's playing E.J. Liddell and Kyle Young out there together, they have five guys that can all shoot the basketball. Western does the same exact thing.
Go ahead, John.
Micah, you mentioned that sort of accountability deep dive you did on your defense. What did you find when you did that, and did it sort of line up with what you were, I guess, expecting to find when you did it?
I mean, I had seen the numbers of what we were doing. It was just about how we corrected, I think. You know, we went in with like three areas of like things to get better at. Like coming out of this, I felt like if we can do these three things, our defense would get better. You know, transition defense obviously was at the top of the list. There weren't a lot of opportunities. You know, Michigan State had a lot of opportunities, but other than that, there weren't a lot of opportunities that we gave up, but people were scoring when they did get those opportunities. So we had to clean that up. We had to work on that and get better at that. Our three-point defense, like I just talked about, that was something that we had to clean up and get better at. When we haven't guarded the three well, we haven't won. So that's something that we needed to do. And then forcing turnovers. And, like, we're going to be solid, right? We're going to do what we do defensively. We're going to guard the way that we guard. We're not going to overextend and go for steals and take ourselves out of position just because I said force more turnovers, but we could be more active in the gaps. We can be more helpful. We can be more impactful off the ball. So I showed our guys a couple of pictures of our Celtics teams playing, and you know, there's five guys on the court. You know, one guy's guarding the ball, and there's four other guys out there, and they're all playing with long arms off the ball, and it looks like they're holding hands or they're touching. That's how much ground they're covering. And we wanted to do that as a team. I thought we worked on it. And then you saw it a couple times in the game. I think Sam got a steal early when Tamar Bates tried to drive to the middle. He was just in the right position. And he got the steal because he was playing with long arms. Somebody else got a steal. Jalen Pickett does it a lot off the ball. So I thought our activity was really good in the areas that we wanted to improve in.
Nate, go ahead.
Micah, you mentioned Buyin as something that you felt like you saw last night. I'm just curious kind of how that process has gone. You're a few months in now. You have some older players. Are they tougher to get through to them at times, or just how it's played out?
Yeah, I don't think it's nothing. It's nothing malicious, Nate. Right? Like the one thing that you can talk about with our team, like you could talk about our team being, lacking depth or being limited athletically or, whatever it may be. What you can't talk about is the character of the guys on our team and in our program right now. We have really good kids, and these guys come and compete and work hard every single day. And they're also 18 to 22 and they're learning. But there's some of these guys have been in a program for 4 years, and I'm trying to teach them something different, and it's hard to break habits when you do that thing. That's why I said it's not malicious. Like it's just something that you've done for 4 years. Like I don't know, I've been drinking Dr. Pepper for 4 years, probably 40 years. It's hard for me to break that habit, and I probably won't ever do it. But we're working at that. Like that's why we had to do a few more things accountability wise in practice this week to try and ingrain habits or the break habits to get them doing the right thing. And I think we were doing that, and I thought it helped us. I think when you do something and then you have success, right, it helps your buy-in. Right, now you get more commitment when you have success, and that's something I learn all the time from Brad or Coach Paint. Like you make a change in the starting lineup, you make a huge change within a game or a system or whatever you may be doing. Like you better make sure it works, or like right now everybody's second guessing you, everybody's questioning what you were doing. So when we did what we did this week, like it had to work. It had to work, and I think it did because it helps. It wasn't like a must win or do or die with our team, but when they saw what they worked on work in a game, it helps when they come back to practice the next day to do it.
We have time for one more. We'll go Ben Jones.
Mike, I know how coaches feel about looking too far ahead, so I apologize about asking you about Saturday again. But, you could coach your entire career to try and be on a Purdue team that's that good, or a team that's very good, a top 5 national title contender sort of thing. What are the emotions like when you see a team you used to be a part of be as good as a team like that? Obviously, you're happy to be at Penn State, et cetera. But, at the end of the day, being part of a team like that is something special, and you just were, and now you're not. How do you kind of tackle the success that they're having?
Yeah, I love it. I love it for those guys, man. It's, like I said, the one thing, that staff, those are my friends. Like when they come, they probably won't have to shoot around, but I'll come out of the locker room a little bit earlier so I can go down and talk to those guys before the game. But even the players, we went through a lot in 2 years. The guys that were there for a long time, even the guys that were freshmen, and then I was a part of the new guys and their recruitment and everything. So I'm as thrilled as can be for them. I'm excited as can be. I watch every single game that they play. That's why it's not hard for me to get the scout ready. Every game they're on, they play tonight. Play Wisconsin at 7. I'm going to be watching it. That's what I do. My son will probably be next to me. My other son will be sitting there watching it too. And then my 8-year-old daughter knows people. She went to the mall back in Indianapolis this weekend, and she's like, "Hey, that's Brandon Newman," on a poster somewhere. She knows who all these guys are. So I'm thrilled and excited for them. The one thing that's a little bit different is you do work your whole career to get a chance to be in position to do something special. goals when I came back there is I wanted to help, like Coach Payne, get to a Final Four. That was one of my goals. I felt like what he's done in his career, the teams he's had, he hasn't had a chance to do that, but he deserves to do it. And I knew how special this team had a chance to be. They've done a great job. They've really put everything together. They're selfless. Their leaders have kind of stepped up as seniors, and like I appreciate and love every part of that. I didn't get my part of it done, but I think I helped put it in the right direction for where it's going. Like I don't have any envy. The one thing about me is, I've been blessed in my life, man. I've been to 2 national championship games. I've been to 2 Final Fours. I've coached in the Eastern Conference Finals twice. Like I don't have any envy for anybody because I've done some special things in my career. Like I hope he gets a chance to do it. Like I'll be there. I'll be there. I hope we're playing, right? But if we're not playing, like I'm going and I'm celebrating what they do. But I love being here, and I love trying to get our program to where they are right now. And I'm going to enjoy trying to beat them on Saturday. Like we're going to compete tooth and nail. I know what kind of competitor Coach Payne is, and he's going to want to beat my ass too. Even though we're friends, like it doesn't matter first. And then when the game's over, I'll go down and shake his hand and we'll talk. And then I'll say, I'll see you in the summer. We'll hang out.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, Micah. Thanks, Chelsea.